Hey Danny, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm all right. So what I want to tackle today is just sort of doing a little bit of a retro on all-time high feature. It's my favorite feature of the year. For context, uh, Danny is part of the growth team at Altify, and she's got this keen interest in product, and so she's going to be spending a few months with product team and learning a little bit more about product. So I think it's important to kind of go through the rationale of this feature and how it works, but also why it's beneficial for our customers in the end, and why, at least I think, it's super useful for our customers if used correctly and used uh, fairly responsibly.
Okay, well, I think we should maybe take it back and just explain what the all-time high is.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So, all time high is the highest price that an asset ever reached in its trading history. And it's a milestone that a lot of investors use when they're looking for insights and opportunities before making an investment.
So, when an asset hits its all-time high, it can signal strong market momentum, but it could also mean that the asset is overbought and might be due for a correction.
Exactly. So, let's dive a little deeper into some of the uses, the benefits, and the risks of having it. So, you know, let's talk about how it's used first of all. So, it's often used as a performance benchmark, right? So, like I said before, it looks at the highest value, or you'd be looking at the highest value, and it helps an investor understand the peak performance of an asset so far. It also lets you easily compare between the current price and the historical peak. So it gives you a sense of how much the asset has depreciated or appreciated over time, and also gives you an indication of how much it could reach again if it reaches or exceeds that all-time high. So another indication is market sentiment and confidence, right? So if an asset is reaching or nearing its all-time high, like it is over here on this graph, um, it can indicate that the market's really confident in an asset. And when you're seeing it sort of move down a little bit over here, you see sort of like a very, very big drop. It could indicate that an asset's overbought. But as it's reaching that all-time high, so as we move further down this line into the future, as it starts reaching its all-time high, it could indicate again a positive market sentiment and some good uh, investor confidence in that asset. The next one is it helps investors with risk assessment, right? So knowing the all-time high helps in assessing the volatility of that asset. An asset that frequently hits new all-time highs might be seen as more volatile, but also potentially more rewarding. The downside risk also helps you understand that. If the current price is significantly lower than all-time high, it might indicate potential for recovery in the future, so potential gains, or it could indicate a further decline.
Another benefit of the all-time high view is determining your investment strategy. So, in particular, your entry and exit points. And this is something that I use a lot of the time to determine when I should buy into the market. So, for example, when a price of an asset is significantly lower than its all time high, I see this as a good entry point. And I'll tend to sell closer to the all time high as a strategy to maximize my profits.
So that's quite interesting because I think context is important here. So, if it's been a while since it's hit that all-time high and there's enough momentum, um, I have a slightly different strategy where I'll gamble a little bit longer to see if it does continue to increase past that all-time high, um, which is also just a consideration.
Hmm. I think it would depend then on your risk appetite. I'm I don't want to lose money, so I'd rather sell it and make a profit.
Depends on what your strategy is, what your risk appetite is, and all of the things that you're considering. Right? It's not going to be the
Mm,
same for every person.
yeah, and I think that's where this becomes nice for people. You can decide what you want to do with the information that you're given, and yeah, how you want to use it to your advantage.
Exactly. So it's helping you manage your portfolio, right? So when it comes to diversification, for example, you might want to understand how close or how far each asset is in your portfolio from that all-time high, so that you can help make diversification decisions, right? You don't want too many things that behave in a very similar way. Um, so if we look at some of our categories on the platform, ecosystem, which is sort of all of these assets that have smart contracts enabled and is used for sort of DeFi or dApps and various other features. If they're all trending very similarly, but you see another opportunity in a meme coin, for example, or something like Bitcoin that's looking to replace money, um, you might want to diversify into an entirely different sector there, where you find an asset that may have some more growth potential. Um, Also helps you track performance of these assets, individual assets or bundles in our case, and the overall portfolio against those
Mm.
historical highs, which helps give you a better picture of growth and potential.
Talking about portfolio management, I think something else that you could consider is market timing. So with market cycles, the all-time high can help in understanding these cycles, and allows you to recognize when an asset is approaching or surpassing its all-time high. And that can provide you with insights into the different market phases. So, for example, if we're in a bull market or if we're in a bear market. Um, and this allows you as an investor to time your investments.
All of those things sort of combined, and you know, taking the time to understand your investment is important, because ultimately an investment decision is a decision of confidence, right? And you want to make the best decision as you can. It's your money. Um, so you want to make these informed decisions, and we think that having access to all-time high data and the little context around the simple percentage gain potential is quite important in making those decisions, to help you build confidence in making those choices. Right, it gives you historical context, which helps you understand the past market conditions, how it's performed over time, and in addition to doing some research, figuring out where this particular asset sits in its sort of its life cycle, right? So, how much development's happened? Have new features been unlocked? Is there growth in terms of users actually using this particular asset or network in some way? The amount of wallets that are being used. All of these sort of help build up that confidence, and help you make a decision that you're comfortable with your money.
Okay, I think after chatting about all the benefits, it is important to be aware of the risks, because an asset reaching its all-time high might also be a sign that it's overvalued. And in cases like that, a price could be due for a correction, leading to potential losses if you do buy at the peak.
You and I recently bought at the peak of a meme coin called PayPay, and we're about 50% down, at least. I think I'm 50% down. You might be a little bit more down,
Yeah.
but either way, a terrible decision, and one that we didn't. Well, I certainly didn't look into this coin at all, um, and it ended up being a terrible decision. So it is important uh, to use all-time high in conjunction with other indicators and research. Right? Don't do what we did. Um, so look at the trading volume, look at market news, look at your overarching economic conditions, and those can all help give you a more comprehensive view of this asset's potential in the future.
Understanding the context of the all-time high is essential. If an asset reaches a new all-time high due to a one-time event, it might not be sustainable. But on the other hand, if the all-time high is driven by strong fundamentals and consistent growth, it could indicate a solid investment opportunity.
So yeah, I think it's powerful. It should be used wisely. Should be combined with research. All these indicators we've said before. I emphasize this a million times because it really is important that you don't use all-time high in isolation when making an investment decision.
Well, let's talk about how we came up for the idea for this feature and the journey we took to bring it to life.
One day I was kind of browsing the internet and I found this website called Coin Go Live, and they had this really cool layout where it would show the current price and the all-time high and what my gain potential is, as well as the date that it reached that all-time high, so I can kind of figure out how long ago it hit this all-time high. And so I thought, well, wouldn't this actually be a really handy tool for our customers to be able to use?
So what were some of the challenges that you were faced with when building this? Because I mean, no one, as far as I know, has done this before on a mobile app.
No one's done this in the context of an investment app, even, right? So there's kind of no, if you look at Coinbase or Kraken or whoever else, like they don't show this information. Sometimes you'll see a reference to what the all-time high is, but no sort of tooling around being able to gauge anything. So challenge-wise, I mean, the first challenge, whenever you're trying to bring a new feature or a new asset or anything new onto a platform, when you're in a business, you have lots of influences across the business. So the first challenge is sort of campaigning across this business to get buy-in from everyone, right? You want the developers to be really excited about something so that they're, building the best solution possible. You want your growth and marketing team to be really excited so that they can communicate all of these things to the customer. And you want your support staff to really understand exactly what this feature is and how it benefits your customers. And so that's kind of your first challenge. And then your next challenge is providing the customer with some sort of context on the page that gives them a reference to their holdings, right? So we thought about this a little bit and we thought, okay, well, what's the best way to show our customers that this exists in the first place, right? Often you'll go into apps and you could probably grab any app on your phone right now, pick it up and go into the settings, or like really start browsing where you've never browsed before, and guaranteed you'll find a feature that you think is super useful, but you've never ever used before because you didn't know it existed. So we wanted our customers to know about this feature as soon as they log into the app. Now, the downside with that is that currently when you open the app, it defaults to your holdings page, right? And that's quite important, right?
Yeah.
You want to give your user this understanding of their portfolio and their investments and how that's performing. So the first thing that we did was, and if you have a look here on screen, is we actually removed, first of all, an advertising banner that's sat at the top here. And this advertising banner was used for things like letting customers know that there was a new asset on the platform, or that we're running something like a fee-free campaign where you could invest in Bitcoin and not pay any fees over a time period. And sometimes it was used for general notices. And we thought, well, okay, cool. What's more valuable? This advertising space or giving our customers context? And of course, customers win, right? Like giving them the best information is more valuable than anything that or any of our objectives, really. So yeah, that challenge was we needed to provide some context because we've changed the default landing page when you open the app now. So when you open the app, it opens up an all-time high. We want to give that customer an understanding of where their portfolio is at.
Okay, so how did you tackle ensuring that users understood the feature and how it works? Because surely if a user sees that an asset is 3,000% away from reaching its all-time high, wouldn't they be more motivated to sell it?
Yeah, I mean, they could be more motivated to sell it. They might also not be motivated to buy it, or even look at it, right? Look at it any further. And this is where your additional research and fact finding comes in. So what we did was we used colors to communicate potential. And so we have green, orange, and red. And green has the highest potential for gains. Orange has sort of a medium potential for gains. And red has quite a low potential for gains, again, if an asset reaches its all-time high. So, looking into that a little deeper, obviously, if you have a look on our screen over here, you have limited space to convey information. So we kind of focused on information that helps you at a glance decide how much deeper you want to go into researching a particular asset, right? And that's whether you hold it or not. So whether you think it's a good time to sell it, or whether it might be a good time to buy it. And those data points were not only the gain to all-time high percentage, which we've color-coded to sort of give you, to help you scroll and identify these potential things to look into. We also provide the current price or the last price that it was traded at, as well as the all-time high price and a date. And so with all of these data points, we kind of hope that our users see the color, right? It's the biggest data point on every asset card. And they go, okay, cool. Based on this color, I want to look at this a little further, or maybe it's not the right time to be looking at this asset. Then they look at the other data points and go, okay, cool. What sort of time frame am I looking at in terms of when it hit its all-time high? So if this was something that hit an all-time high a week ago, and we're 3,000% away from an all-time high, that would be terrifying, and would sort of make me immediately kind of go, okay, you know what? I'm not actually going to look into this asset any further right now. I'm going to hit pause on that, and that's again based on my risk profile and my strategy, right? So like, I don't want too much risk. I want to take a little bit of risk, but sort of manage that risk a little bit. So in that case, I wouldn't do it. But if I'm looking at this at 3,000% away from its all-time high, and this happened 3 or 4 years ago, then I'm going to look into this a little more. And I'm going to go, okay, cool. What don't I know about this? Because this seems like a good opportunity, but this might be a slow bleed going into this decision, right? This might be a very, very gradual decline to zero, which is, of course, possible. Or I might be sitting on a massive, massive opportunity. And so, I'll sort of look at market indicators. I'll look at, what the market itself's looking like, what development of this particular network and the coin on top of it's doing, how much is it being used. We listed a bunch. We spoke about a bunch of things earlier. So, for the sake of not repeating, we won't go into that again. But I'll look at these data points and then I'll decide, okay, cool, this is an opportunity for me, or this is not an opportunity for me.
Let's talk about testing, because I know that we obviously always pick up on a lot of bugs during testing, and you work a lot closer to the dev team than I do right now. So I want to know how you and the team tackled those challenges and what those challenges were.
So, I mean, first, before we even talk about the development of this, obviously we want to test and get feedback from our users, right? That's kind of step one. And we took these screens over here, and we turned them into a little prototype that people could interact with. And then we asked them a bunch of questions, right? And so with those user considerations, and obviously these are just very, very high level summaries, we go into a lot more detail. We discovered things like the use of color, the use of bar graphs and things like that. And if I just scroll over here, I can kind of show you a few of these older iterations of all-time high where we experimented with colors and percentages. We also experimented with sort of bar charts and things like this while we were going through user testing to indicate these gains to all-time high. And ultimately we settled on a view like this, right, in terms of the data points in the hierarchy, which introduced again the colors on the gain, loss, and all-time high. But from here, obviously we take that user feedback and now we want to sort of refine this into a final product, which is right over here.
This is the new all-time high feature. So as you can see, we've made it super easy to track the highest prices of your favorite assets. Let's take a look at Pepe, for example. So you can see its all-time high price over here, along with the date that it was reached. And if you click on it, you'll be able to see a detailed breakdown of the price history. And you can toggle between a 24-hour period, a 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, etc. We've also made sure it's really easy for you to compare different assets. And you'll see here how the different assets stack up against each other. So for example, you can compare Maker and Ethereum and what their gain to their all-time high is and make decisions based on that. We've also integrated real-time data from our market data sources to ensure that you are and your app is always up to date with the right information.
Yeah, and so over here where you were talking about, comparing these are obviously all fairly similarly positioned in terms of the potential gain. This screenshot was taken sort of from the middle of the list. The list is prioritized by the biggest potential gain to the lowest potential gain. You can tap over here on this filter and switch it from highest to lowest to lowest to highest. And you can use that to determine the particular sort of gain percentage bracket that you're looking at. So, with some of our customers, when we went through testing, they were sort of looking at, okay, I want 100% gain. You can kind of scroll down and find, all of the assets that sit within that particular bracket that you're looking for. And then you can sort of make your assessments from there. So let's talk a little bit about how we put this all together, right? So it started off, we've spoken about how the idea happened. We've spoken about a little bit about user testing and how we refine those ideas. And now let's talk about how we actually practically put this into production, right? And put it in the hands of our users. So creating this or any other feature really is a team effort. It starts off as an idea with one person, and then you campaign and you sort of rope more and more people in to start, getting ready to build this particular feature. So we kind of went balls to the wall, and we had full company meetings where this was pitched and presented, and we brainstormed it a little bit. We went through the user testing, and then it goes into development. Our developers obviously build the feature to spec, and then it goes into internal testing, where we basically expose the feature to everyone within the business and go, okay, cool, like try this out, like put it through the ringer. So across the business, everyone plays their own little role in bringing this to the customer in the end.
Our key considerations in designing the user interface were using color to visually show where an asset is relative to its all-time high, as Tian spoke about earlier. We also wanted to provide our customers with additional context, like when it reached its all-time high, what the all-time high is, and what the current price is.
And so then our developers build this thing, and as I mentioned, it goes into internal testing. And we really want the team to sort of pick up any visual bugs, provide feedback or input, let us know how it's performing on the device itself. And one of the things that came up was, because we have all of this data that's coming in on the single screen for 50 or 60 different assets, it actually slowed the app down to a point where it was not usable at all. And so we had to pass it back to our development team and go, look, you have to figure out a smarter way to deliver this data and have this app run as any user would expect it to run, which is fast and performant. And so went back into development, and they came back out, and the app is considerably faster than what it was even before we introduced all-time high and all of these additional data points, which is fantastic, and it's a win.
All right, so we'll leave it at that. We hope that you enjoyed this deep dive into our all-time high feature, and we are super excited by how it turned out.
Yeah, I actually can't wait for our customers to start using this and giving us feedback. So if you are a customer, please, if you have any feedback, whether you like it, hate it, think that there's something missing, reach out to our support team and give them that feedback, because it's going to help us improve this particular feature. It's going to help us improve the platform, and it's going to help improve your investment experience and help you make better decisions, which is ultimately what we're very, very focused on as we develop this app.